All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's Microdesk presentation, Digital Transformation in the Transportation Industry. My name is Stephanie Rindash, and I'm very excited to have one of our clients also co-present with me, Robert Loncar. So let's just go ahead, jump into our agenda. So during this presentation, we hope you take away what digital transformation truly means. We're going to go through some introductions as well as the definition of what is digital transformation, and specifically how is that impacting the transportation industry. We'll also go into the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission, a case study, and then just a really quick conclusion on journey forward with some additional things to consider. So before we get started, I'd like to do some introductions. My name is Stephanie Rindash. I am a strategic implementation manager here at Microdesk. I have about 8 years in the industry, 4 years with Microdesk, and previously I worked on major highway design and construction projects, primarily on Interstate 95 out here on the East Coast. But I was also part of some stormwater efforts and some project management as well. Today at Microdesk, I consult with engineering firms and agencies just to help implement the latest technology solutions, as well as help optimizing design workflows and making sure the best practices are being put forth on design projects. So with that, I'm going to pass this over to Butch Loncar.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. My name is Butch Loncar. I am the lead for the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission's Digital Delivery Program. I have over 36 years with the Commission, with 28 of those being in the engineering department. I am a design services coordinator, and my responsibilities include overseeing the development of engineering technology standards, the operation maintenance of the CAD and other engineering software and hardware that reside within the engineering department. Thank you.
So to kick us off, what is digital transformation? The industry now faces a new dawn due to the rising concerns around environmental impact and population growth. However, there's also the rapid emergence of technology, which has really accelerated the pace of implementation and development for our policies and applications. So the first step is digitization. So looking at digital transformation as a whole. So digitization is the conversion of analog to digital. So meaning converting paper or manual processes to a digital format. Taking this specifically to the transportation design world. This is when we were taking the introduction, I should say, of CAD software. So taking plan sets, handwritten, and bring them over into a CAD modeling software. Then we move over to digitalization, which is where the use of digital technologies can be used to change a business model. And this is where you see extra cost savings and value producing further opportunities. So relating this to transportation, this could be the introduction of further advancement with technology, introducing 3D modeling, automatic annotation. So for example, when you're moving an alignment in the design or in the modeling program, everything's shifting with the roadway corridor, automatic updates with annotation, and you can see the design effectively. This is a huge time saving for efficiency, but also adding that cost value to a way you do your designs. And then finally, there's transformation. So this refers to transformation that comes about as a response to changes in end user behavior, where we digitally transform an agency or company's processes and its strategy. And I'm going to go to the next slide to further explain that. So digitization and digitalization are essentially all about technology, but transformation is not. Transformation is about the organization. It is the process by which digital technology is going to be integrated into all areas of a business. So essentially, this is a process which fundamentally changes the way in which the organization operates. It is leveraging technology that is implemented to help your efficiency in business processes, but also will affect the organization from a decision standpoint. So with that, going into where the transportation industry is today. So this is our pathway to digital maturity in the AECO industry. Specifically for highway and transportation industry, we will fall along the 2D, 3D realm. So every organization somewhere falls along this curve. With that being said, 2D, 3D realm, we're really at the point of using 2D models and design models to create our designs and plan sets, and that may be passed over to a contractor. Some agencies are starting to implement the requirement to turn over those digital files because they have a lot of data that would be beneficial to the contractor or to the agency themselves. So like I said, the majority of transportation industry falls within the 2D, 3D realm. However, now with the emergence of better technology, this is forcing workflows to change, and there are advantages to this. So essentially, this is taking the data from that 2D, 3D realm and pushing it forward into other operations. So kind of pushing the BIM maturity towards that 4D, 5D path stage. As you can see here, we have all the way up to 9D and 10D established. I like to joke that when I retire in about 30 years, we'll probably be at BIM 100D or anything like that. But this is advancing technology, and we are starting to see, especially in the transportation industry, their BIM maturity kind of moving towards that 4D, 5D stage. And really the big driver for this advancing technology and its impact is all based around the project lifecycle. For many years, there have been siloed workflows for different areas of the project lifecycle. For example, CAD tools were being utilized in the project planning and design phase, and then that information and data would be sent maybe in a 2D plan, maybe within a model file over to construction. But at some point within the project lifecycle in traditional workflows, that information and data gets dropped out of those model files, and then things are either manually or exchanged over to other processes. Now looking forward, especially for agencies and owners of assets, digital twin is really introducing a new advantage for the exchange of information. So this is taking the information from our models all the way through the construction phase into a digital twin that can help assist with asset management, operations and maintenance, and ultimately help with capital planning as well. So it's taking that data and exchanging it throughout the project lifecycle. And in 2022, there's a lot of tools available to help with this process. And there are some major benefits for moving towards digital delivery and digital transformation. Some of the reasons why many states and agencies are taking on this directive are listed here. So I mentioned before, an effective digital twin, dynamic asset management, a reduction in design errors prior to construction, an easier way to collaborate on projects, and so on. The list goes on and on. This is just a few items, but the biggest thing and the biggest benefits of going through this process is that digital transformation can really be catered towards your agency's goals. So if your agency's goals is to improve sustainability or maybe focus on certain asset management, that data that is first initiated in the planning stages and design stages can be catered to be exchanged throughout the project lifecycle to those different items or goals that you may have. And just to give a few more examples of how this is being implemented, right now there's a big push towards digital models, or I'll say digital delivery is that familiar term within our industry today. So AASHTO has created the JTCEES, the Joint Technical Committee on Electronic Engineering Standards, where they're trying to implement standards on a national level for digital models to be produced following on some type of national standard level. We also have FHWA, which created a part of one of their EDCs, their Everyday Counts, an initiative that focuses on digital as-built and e-ticketing. So we're starting to see different sectors starting to transform on a national level with different guidelines for moving forward as well. There are also a few DOTs and other state commissions and agencies who have begun to adopt digital transformation as shown here. They have all started with developing pilot projects for their own initiatives. Probably the furthest along in the process is Utah DOT. They have awarded, I think, over 16 at this point, model as legal document awards, but have 9 fully constructed sites just using the model, 7 awarded without cutting sheets, and so on. We also know that there's a couple other agencies that are implementing pilot projects or starting to update their standards to require models or 3D models to be modeled a certain way that will impact their own systems or their own asset management systems in the long run. But the big takeaway of this is the biggest item with digital transformation is that it's truly customizable to each agency's or company's goals. So with that being said, a big aspect of this process was talking to the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission before we get into our case study, and we identified 4 major goals that is going to push them forward towards digital transformation. So this includes organized workflows, streamlining of data, effective data management systems that overall improve collaboration on projects. These goals were identified as part of a vision for PTC's digital delivery program, but this is really how we're establishing buckets essentially and goals to fulfill as we move forward through the process. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Butch Loncar to talk a little bit further about Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission's digital delivery program.
I was muted. Okay, thanks, Stephanie. There are 3 major efforts that are progressing at the digital delivery program at the Turnpike Commission. The first is the engineering technology plan, which looked at our project workflows internally. This is determining what information needs to be captured by the models and how we can streamline that data into the Commission's existing asset management systems. The second item is the engineering technology standards. This is the foundation for all model content. Determining what information is needed internally will help feed the technology standards for what information needs to be captured by the BIM model. The third item is the pilot projects. The engineering technology standards are being utilized on these projects. The current pilot projects are providing feedback on the technology standards. We are meeting with the project teams on a regular basis throughout the design so that we can identify challenges and determine ways to improve the current workflows by updating the standards and templates. Also, identifying software limitations and what to expect as we further progress with the digital delivery program. When it comes to the project lifecycle, this is all about the exchange of information. These 3 efforts are looking at how information within the BIM model is being created, then how that information is provided to construction, and then ultimately fed back to the Commission's asset management systems. Next slide. The primary focus of the engineering technology plan is to focus on the exchange of information from intelligent 3D models to commission systems. The focus of this effort is all internal to the Turnpike, but explains why we are moving towards digital delivery. This is a huge effort with the creating of organized workflows in order to get appropriate data in the correct place for internal personnel to be more efficient. The plan outlines various tasks to complete over a 5-year timeline and is focused more on workflows that need to be improved. The development of engineering technology plan involved meeting with 20 different groups within engineering, construction, and additional support categories to discuss their current workflows, pain points, and goals for the digital delivery program. The rest of this effort was the development of the plan, including what data would be included in the project information models, immediate, short-term, and long-term goals, and workflow identification. Next. As I mentioned, we have developed an engineering technology standard. Microdesk assisted in both the preliminary effort for this back in 2015 and the current 2022 PIM CAD standards, which include guidelines as to what will be required to be submitted in a 3-dimensional format, as well as consistency in how the 3D models will look. But the most current iteration is much more detailed and specific. With this effort, we have developed a document to outline the standards for deliverables, naming conventions, practices and procedures, drawing management, plot setup, metadata attachment, etc., as it is related to the development of model-based content. In congruence with the creation of this document, AutoCAD and Civil 3D and Revit templates were developed to establish uniform layers, line types, symbology styles, and settings. This also included the development of sheet templates that utilize Sheetset Manager for contract borders of various types and sizes. Since the Commission is software agnostic as to deliverables, we also included in the PIM-CAD standards sections specific to Bentley Open Roads Designer along with templates. This presented the challenge of creating standards for both major software platforms that are cohesive and coincide with one another as seamlessly as possible. The purpose of developing these standards and templates is to establish requirements and procedures for the preparation and submission of CAD-based drawings and models to the Commission. Adherence to the standard ensures that all units within the Commission, as well as outside consultants, will produce data in a consistent format. This consistency will improve the compatibility of this data within each discipline and stage of a project, and the efficient exchange of data between all parties involved from design through construction. Next. The Commission selected 4 pilot projects of various types and complexities based on the following criteria. Start with smaller, low-risk projects, different project types, disciplines, implement the PIM-CAD standards and pilot digital delivery requirements, identify challenges, provide feedback to improve current workflows with upgrades to the engineering technology standards, streamline data to the Commission systems. The 4 pilots were a bridge on our Northeast extension at milepost A83, which is currently in design. The second pilot is at milepost T238 on our main line, which is new access roads on the eastbound and westbound sides of the main line, currently in design. A third project, our new Cumberland Maintenance Facility expansion, a new facility project currently in preliminary design. And then finally, on our main line at T180 through 184, a single project PDF where we have a resurfacing and a reprofiling, which will provide a hybrid deliverable of a roll plot PDF and also a 3D model for the reprofiling section. Being CAD agnostic, these projects were split up to pilot different Autodesk and Bentley programs. This way, we have an understanding of the software limitations between the platforms. Now, this is the first step for a digital delivery bid package. As the program progresses and more pilots are started, we will be adjusting what information will be within the model files and what will still reside within PDF plan sets. Over time, our goal is to reduce the dependencies on PDF plan sets and transition to using data-rich models. Moving forward, there will be pilot projects for construction to provide digital as-builts, which will be providing GPS coordinates of assets as they are installed in the field. It is still being determined what assets will be captured, and it's depending on the type of project. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah, thank you, Butch. So this is kind of the fun part, I will say, of the presentation. We're going to get a deeper dive at look into some of these modeling efforts for each of these pilot projects. So the first project we have here is A83. So this is the single span bridge replacement project over the Northeast extension. What we're looking at here is the bridge model within Autodesk Civil 3D. Now, this effort is actually using 4 products, a part of the Autodesk collection: Civil 3D, Inventor, Revit, and InfraWorks. And you can see here, just by bringing the structure, this is during preliminary design. You can easily isolate one item and look at its property information. This project is also utilizing customized typicals or cross sections. So what's really unique about this project is the material information that's unique only to the turnpike's use currently can be dropped down for each layer of pavement. Kind of a big next step for this is currently working on extracting that data out and then ultimately bringing it in, streamlining that data into PTC's asset management system appropriately. The next project is T238, the access road project along the Pennsylvania Turnpike Medline. So this is creating access roads on the eastbound and westbound side. As you can see here, this is a low risk project. So starting off with a roadway project that's low risk, some access roads here that has some stormwater components. Now with PTC being CAD agnostic, this program is Open Roads Designer, which some of you may be familiar with. And then here we're going to be adding in some of those stormwater components so you can see what it looks like in a 2D view, and then some options for 3D viewing as well. One of the big, I will say, uphill battles is making sure that all programs, so from Autodesk as well as Bentley products, can complete the same required deliverables that would be part of a hybrid package or for that model turnover. And then moving along to the new Cumberland Maintenance Facility. So this project is utilizing Revit as a tool for the structural design aspect of this. However, this is not within Revit. Right now, we're just looking at one of the buildings on the BIM 360 platform. So another big effort, a part of PTC's digital delivery program, is finding a common data environment where you're able to view and collaborate on a project. It would be really, it'd be a lot for anyone to be a master in all these programs, especially being CAD agnostic. So one of the goals is to find a common data environment where you can quickly view the property value, make assessments, mark up comments within each building, within each file, be able to look at a federated model, or I should say master model, and collaborate on the design. And that way those comments go back to the designer. They're able to respond and make updates appropriately. And the last one is T180 to 184, which is a resurfacing project. This is utilizing a single project PDF to show the plans on each PDF sheet. Profiles will also are being considered to be turned over as a model for that hybrid deliverable. Currently piloting to see if details should be included within the dead space of the single PDF. And then also what's unique to this project is including legend and colors to easily distinguish layers within the resurfacing project. So really the big advantage here of a single project PDF is this is starting to adapt from sheets into just one file. So instead of having a bunch of sheets that could be part of a design set, we just have one large file that can easily be zoomed into and then used on an iPad in the field. So this is getting contractors to become more familiarized instead of having PDF plan set, or not PDF plan sets, but print out sheets in the field, to start utilizing tablets to look up information according to that design. So that's just a little brief overview of all the pilot projects that PTC has currently that are in design. It is not an all-inclusive list, as things are being developed as we're moving forward through different stages of that digital delivery program. So kind of just looking a little bit further, journey forward, I think it's important to highlight some limitations within the transportation industry, especially when it comes to digital transformation. The first being software capabilities. Regardless of what platform it was, whether it was Autodesk or Bentley, with the pilot projects, there have been limitations when it came to modeling appropriately. It could be something as simple as not having the capabilities of modeling the joint on a bridge appropriately, or it could be getting into nitty-gritty details where the program's not acting the way it should. So there are some limitations with the software, and that's something that the Turnpike as well as other agencies are considering and kind of adapting their deliverables appropriately. So where things might not work, this is where that hybrid deliverable approach comes in, where you have your printout sheet, your cut sheets, or your PDF plan set in addition to the model files. Another big item is national standards. So AASHTO is working on national standards. However, currently there's no big national standard for the horizontal sector, for the horizontal industry. Vertical industry, there's a lot of established BIM standards, especially for level of detail or your LOD matrix. There's multiple established standards that can be used in building design. However, when it comes to horizontal, there may only be about 5 or 6 categories, which doesn't necessarily set a standard or an expectation for how things should be modeled and to what level of detail. Additionally, outside agencies, one of the biggest questions and concerns that's brought up for every agency is permitting is always going to be a factor, and it's always going to be necessary when you're doing any type of construction project. How are these model files going to be sent to local municipalities and local agencies. This is definitely a case-by-case basis. Talking with other DOTs, there are some local municipalities that are more open to receiving a model file that easily conveys design. However, you may still be required to hand over a PDF ENS plan set. It's a case-by-case basis, and ultimately with the advancement of technology, things such as policies and deliverables are going to be taking time, and wherever the agency may be located has to work with the local municipality accordingly. And then the last is digital reviews. I talked about this a little bit about the common data environments, but a really big aspect of this is making sure that the end user, the reviewer, can still get access to the same information within the model that they had in the original plan set. As mentioned before, it's having very high expectations for every person to be an expert in every possible software for model turnover. So finding that common data environment that works with your deliverables is a huge aspect for moving forward with digital delivery. And then I just have one more slide to wrap up. So just talking a little bit about our journey forward and how this could be implemented with other agencies or even companies when it comes to digital transformation. The first is to develop a vision and determine your firm's goals. So this is really strategizing implementation, but also looking what are the initial key steps. The biggest thing about this is not just determining your plan, but also evaluating what tools you already utilize and what are their purpose for your firm. The second step is to develop. So from there, identify what your current limitations are and look at potential workflows and solutions that can help those items. A really big thing with this is looking at what are the easy tasks. How can you easily get to the next level up with maybe one technology usage or one update to a workflow. And then from there, develop and start working on some of the harder tasks and initiate from that plan moving forward to your execution phase. So with this, early implementation is always better, but the biggest aspect of this, even with the pilot projects that are going through many digital delivery programs, is to evaluate the projects and then optimize workflows from there. With this being a lot of first initiatives across the country, there's always going to be mistakes and things to work on moving forward. So as it relates to digital transformation, it's imperative to evaluate and see what worked, what didn't work, and how can you make things better for moving forward. So with that, this was a nice light presentation about digital transformation within the transportation industry. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put in the chat or the questions log. We'll stay on for a minute or two. I'd also just like to, once again, to thank Butch Loncar from the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission for taking time to be with us today. Thank you.